All right, thanks everybody for joining in today. Going to be getting started very, very shortly. All right, hello, welcome everybody. My name is Doyle Buehler, and the founder of the League of Extraordinary Entrepreneurs and Founders Online. And I've been in digital business for, I think it's been almost 20 years now. So it's been a long time, and I want to welcome you again to the challenge, right? The Growth Roadmap Strategy challenge that we've been developing over the last couple of days as well. So today we are on day number 4. So it's been some exciting times. It's been a lot of different content that we've been able to go through. And hopefully it's been able to connect some of you to that ultimate roadmap that we want to get you on so that you can actually organize what you're doing online and the steps that you need to take it and the processes that are really, really important to being able to build that strong business online. And ultimately that's what I'm about, is how can we help you build that structure, build that strategy that gives you something to be able to create that momentum, to create that energy, to create that navigation of that journey for your audience as well. So it's super, super critical that you're able to build these pieces and build them into a roadmap that can help you navigate that journey forward as well. So, as I said, we're into day 4, and today we're going to be talking about how do we actually look at these road stops, and what are the 9 road stops, as I call them, along that journey to be able to help you navigate those specifically. So I'm just going to share my screen here and pop that up here so we can get a better look at what's going on. And what we're really fundamentally talking about is how do we actually move and progress our business along this pathway as well. And if you remember from the earlier days of the challenge, what we're doing is we're starting right in that middle section, right? In this case, this is your brand promise. This is your business promise. This is the ultimate call to action as well. That's super, super important for your business to be able to understand what is it that specifically that you're going to be delivering as well. Because if you don't have something specific, you kind of just wander around. It's no different than going on a trip or on a session or anything like that, where you want to be able to go somewhere, right? You don't get in your car and just go anywhere, right? You specifically have a destination in mind, and sometimes it might be a destination of a touring trip or that sort of thing, but you have a destination in mind. You hop on a plane, you just don't randomly decide, hey, I'm going to hop on a plane. You actually have a destination in mind, and that's what's critical here, is having that destination in mind. Where are you taking your audience along this pathway? Excuse me. And how are you getting them to go to that place as well? So if we can talk a little bit further from there, then there's obviously things that are holding us back. And in order to understand how we're going to move forward, we kind of have to understand what's holding us back as well. So in this case, what we're talking about is fractured strategy and execution. We're talking about too much friction and implementation to respond. And we're talking about fragmented messaging and delivery. So these are the barriers that are really kind of holding us back in terms of well, in terms of creating that friction, creating that fragmentation, and creating that fracturedness as well in what we do. And so how do we overcome that? Well, in the first case of fractured strategy and execution, what we're talking about here is how do we overcome that? Well, we need to look at persuasive positioning. We need to understand how are we capable to create and capture new demand as well. So how do we overcome the too much friction and too much friction to implement and respond? Well, we look at our targeting, what I call tenacious targeting. And this is giving you the confidence to deploy in uncontested market space as well. And then finally, we have the thing that's holding us back is the fragmented messaging and delivery. How do we overcome that? Well, with connected and craving clients, being compelling to make competition irrelevant. So these are our focus. Where are we going? Our target. Then what's getting in the way? How are we going to create those pathways? And then what are the actual fixes as well? That's super, super important. And the last ingredient here is what I call the road maps, the specific road stops that we need to stop at to navigate properly. When we're going somewhere, again, we don't just go to A to Z. The reason why we say we're going to A to Z is because we know that there's specific steps along that way. And in business, we can't actually just gloss over them and say, hey, we're going to go, and away we go type thing. And suddenly we arrive, poof, magic, right? Doesn't always work like that. So what we need to understand is that there's some road stops, some roadhouses. And did a tour of Western Australia, and Australia in general has these roadhouses. And they're kind of like a place to stop and refresh and get petrol and get food and all that kind of stuff, and they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they're not, they're quite far apart as well. So we need to know that we have to travel to each of these to be able to get to that next stop, and if we don't stop there, we probably won't make it to the next one as well, because when the sign says, no petrol, no service for 500 kilometers, you need to stop and refresh and load up and that sort of thing. So we've designed 9 of these roadhouses, 9 of these accelerators to be able to help us move forward as well. And we'll just zoom in here so that we can see them a bit closer. So we'll go back through the fixes. So the fix of how do we develop this persuasive positioning? Number one is we have to create an amazing customer journey of transformation. So ask yourself, what is that to you specifically? How do you enable it? What does it look like? How does it sound? What are the steps that you're taking them through as well? We want to create that journey of transformation for our audience. That's super, super key. Step number 2 is creating irresistible value and monetization. So we want to make sure that we have the tools in place to be able to create that value, right? Which is obvious, but we also have to monetize it as well. And there's so many times that we see different businesses, they've not actually been able to monetize it. So it's more like a brochure. It's more like a wait and see. It's more like let's kind of see how this goes type thing. So we have to make sure that there's a business monetization behind that so that we can actually make it work as well. And then the third step along the third roadhouse along the stops are what I call unlocking your expertise and zone of genius, right? So what's important to you as the entrepreneur, as the founder, and I should say as the extraordinary entrepreneur and founder, to be able to tell your story, but in a way that conveys that expertise, that zone of genius, as I say it. And it doesn't mean that you need to be like a digital guru or an expert or that sort of thing, but you have to have your zone of genius within your business, and then you can translate that into what pieces do I need online? How can I make this work? How do I make it a little bit easier for my audience as well? So we need to look at that. How can we unlock our own expertise and your zone of genius to take that person on that journey, to help them grow and help them change along that transformation journey as well. So those are the first 3 stops in developing our persuasive positioning. So do you have amazing customer journey of transformation? Do you have irresistible value monetization? And are you unlocking your expertise and zone of genius? And I've got a table coming up that I'll show you that will help you kind of formulate that. But let's just put that in those pieces for right now. So then let's move on to the fix number 2. All right, which is what I call tenacious targeting. So this is the confidence to deploy uncontested market space, right? And what are the 3 things that are super important here? These roadhouse stops that we need to kind of refill and re-energize to keep us going. Well, number 4 is magnetic measurement to decide with data. So we want to make sure that we're using the information that's at our fingertips, literally. There's so much data, so much information. We don't always use what's really, really needed or even understand how to use it. And it's not a fault of being an entrepreneur. It's a fault of there's an awful lot there that we have to concern ourselves with. But if we know what pieces of data are really, really important, then we'll be able to use those. We'll be able to leverage those as well. So we have to look at what can we measure, what's really, really important to measure so that we can make decisions based on our customer behaviors and that sort of thing. Number 5, our precision digital toolkit and tech stack. So This is where we kind of put the pieces of technology. And I say this all the time. Technology isn't the end all and be all. You have to create the environment, you have to create the platform, then you can add the technology. You have to create those connections, then you can add in the technology. The technology doesn't replace any of that. All it does is it enables it. It gives you those tools. It gives you that toolkit to perform that job. So whether you're a plumber or an electrician, you have your set of tools, and those are what you use to perform your job. So it's no different online. We need a digital toolkit and we need a tech stack to be able to deliver our product, to deliver our value as well. And without that, what are we actually doing? We're not doing anything significant. We're not delivering our actual intrinsic value of our expertise and of our business as well. So we need a precision digital toolkit, a precise one. We don't need electrical tools if we're a plumber, right? We need plumbing tools if we're a plumber. We don't need those extra ones. We need to be precise here because there's so much out there. It's unbelievable what you can get stuff to do everything. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to. So it's very important to be able to see that what's important to me in my business. The sixth road stop is what I call the omnipresent automation. So this is where you can actually look at, how do I automate some of this? Because we need to, so that we don't have to necessarily, we can make the business run more streamlined, a lot easier and with less friction and that sort of thing, if we can use some of these tools, but use them in the proper manner so that we can actually move forward with them, so that we can automate some of the basic stuff. Depends on type of business. If you're talking about delivering content, a lot of that can be automated, but we still have to have the capability to talk and connect with our audience directly as well. So we have to balance that. We have to balance that omnipresent automations with ourselves, and kind of creating those live broadcasts, creating those videos, creating that content that allows you to then automate some of those more basic steps as well. And then, so the last three road stops that we need to look at along the way is the Roadhouse is the fix is creating connected and craving clients as well. So what we want to be able to do here is being compelling to make competition irrelevant. And how do we do that? Well, we need specific tools in place to be able to do that. We need to have an alluring, inviting, and engaging environment, right? So it's not just, again, a brochure type interaction. We want to be able to create those pieces, those integrations that allow us to create an environment that people want to return to, that people are interested in, that people want to be able to be associated with as well. We want to make sure that it's inviting and it's engaging as well. The eighth Roadhouse is tantalizing digital assets and foundations. So this is what's really important, and this is kind of a lot of the crux of it in terms of how do we build that digital foundation? How do we build those digital assets that support that? And when I talk about digital assets, what I'm really talking about is the things, right? The things that allow your audience, your customer, to receive that value that you want to deliver. So whether it's a platform, whether it's some tools, whether it's some books, whether it's some videos or some content, a course, what does that foundation look like? What are you using to be able to deliver that foundation? Because as we know, if you're building a house, you don't have that solid foundation, guess what? You're not going to be able to build a very strong house, or it's not going to last very long as well. So we want to make sure that we have the foundation. We want to make sure that we have these assets, these tangible assets that allow us to deliver our value as well. And then the last Roadhouse we want is immersive, enchanting digital experiences. So what that is basically taking a look at, what is that remarkable digital experience worth remembering that you're trying to provide to your audience as well. So it's no different than going to a concert, or going to a show, or the pictures, or whatever the case may be. We all want to have a good experience doing it. And if we don't have the tools, if we don't have the capabilities to be able to do that, guess what? It's a simple transaction. They come and they make their purchase and then they move on. Right? We're one click away from your competitor online. So we need to be very, very savvy with that and say, if we can create that enchanting, immersive digital experience, then we can actually allow that customer to be engaged within that environment, within that experience as well. And if we're not able to deliver an experience, then what, in essence, are we really delivering? We're delivering a commodity. So in the future, and now, quite honestly, we're measured by the experience that we're able to deliver. And that's a key ingredient, because if we're not able to deliver an experience, then you're going to lose customers as well. So we want to make sure that we can understand what that is and what that looks like. What that looks like, so that we can deliver it. And if you're an an offline type retail business or that sort of thing, you still need to have those connection points to that digital side of things as well. And even if it is very simplistic, you can still create an experience around it as well. So let's just to wrap up then. So those are all the 9 roadhouses of part of navigating this. So I hope that makes sense. Is that in order to get to our destination, right? What is your destination in the middle? What is your brand promise? What's getting in the way, right? The fractured strategy and execution, the fragmented messaging and delivering, too much friction in implementation to implement and respond, right? So we have our 3 fixes: persuasive positioning, tenacious targeting, and connected and craving clients. And then we need to have these specific steps. So this is where strategy becomes more tactical, or strategic execution, as I call it. We need these 9 specific places that we can go to help us build our roadmap, because fundamentally that's what we're doing, is we're building this roadmap to put all these pieces together so we can have it all contained into one specific area as well. So I'll post up this presentation. It'll show you kind of the detail of these specific steps and how they've kind of fit together and that sort of thing. They're really important to be able to understand. So what I'd like you to do, sort of your action for day number 4, because tomorrow, day number 5, is the final day of the challenge, and we're going to be putting all these pieces together, right, in a nice, cohesive roadmap that's simple. It's like one page roadmap that gives you that strategy to be able to navigate online. So that's going to be the key ingredient. So what I would like you to do is take a look at Designing Your Savvy Strategy Roadmap Canvas. Okay, so these are the 9 elements, and how do they relate to you? All right. So how do each of these pieces fit with your business? Because again, this is your business, so you're going to have to create your own specific roadmap as well. And if you have those pieces in place, that will give you that ability to navigate for your business as well. So there's 9 questions. It's pretty easy, but these are going to be the 9 questions that you need to answer to help you build that roadmap. And I've already showed you parts of this previously, but we're going to be creating a visual roadmap, technically, that you can actually use, as well as a tool that shows you your specific roadmap along the way, with these 9 roadhouses, with the 3 fixes, with the 3 obstacles as well. So we're going to be able to create this on day number 5. Exciting stuff. We'll give you the process and the steps that then you can then implement specifically for your business. But it's based on, let's go through point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to get, A to Z, as they say. All right, so that's all I have. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them into the comments. Would love to hear from you. Love to hear how your journey is going. What you feel has been important, what you feel is kind of maybe could just gloss over, or is a little bit easier, need to spend less time with it. But at the end of the day, the important thing is building this roadmap, and that's what we're going to get into tomorrow. So the action for today: your strategic execution is to fill out this table, piece of cake, spend 5 minutes going through it, answer the questions, and then that'll give us the ability to have that piece in place for us for tomorrow, for day number 5. All right, just reposition this. Maybe I could turn back on the music. There we go. Chilling out. All right, so thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. I know everybody's busy with their businesses, but this will set the stage for your business as well. So it's important to not only work in the business, which you are doing, but work on the business as well. And this roadmap strategy, this roadmap challenge will give you those tools to be able to do that. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys online.